people. So apparently Sony is dropping out of the handheld market, and people are, some unknown reason, surprised. Why? Why are you surprised? I personally am not. Watching what happened with the PS Vita, knowing what happened with the PSP, this does not surprise me. I've heard all the, well, Nintendo has had kind of a corner market with the handheld devices over the past 30 years. That is not a reason. That's not even a good excuse. Okay? If you remember correctly, Sega even got into the handheld market with their Sega. Fuck is that thing called? Anyway, it was Game Boy versus whatever the fuck Sega had. And the Sega thing ate up, instead of 4 batteries, you went through fucking 6. And it had 3 hours of battery life, which means you needed an investment in the fucking Duracell company just to play the fucking thing. Now, I know it came with a battery thing where you could plug it in the wall and continue playing it, but the part of a handheld that makes it great is its portability. Now, I know a lot of people, well, this thing's battery life is horrible too. Here's the thing about that. This is the first iteration. We could see more possibly later on, as long as this keeps doing great. Now, let me explain something to you with Sony getting out of portables. The PSP sold great, but Sony dropped the ball. They did. They started off great. It sold really well for about 3 years. The PS3 came out, and Sony shifted its focus from the PSP and the PS2 to focus only on the PS3. They completely dropped the PSP. I mean, it was still in its prime when they did this. When the PS3 came out, the PSP was still in its prime. Remember, if you will, the PSP, its mainframe, when you turn the screen on, in fact, when you turn this part on, the interface was exactly how the PS3 was set up. So, why they quit supporting it, I don't understand. But they did. They quit supporting the PSP during that first 2 years of the PS3's lifespan. And it wasn't until they realized, oh, the PS3 isn't going to be moving any units, it's not doing as well as we hope, that we started getting these slow commercials with a spokesman that they fired and rehired and fired again, and a little child who did his damnedest to try to even move the fucking thing, and he was funny, and I don't recall his name either, but they tried every trick in the book to try to get that PSP back on the market by trying everything. I mean, when it first came out, you had games like Grand Theft Auto, Vice City Stories, you had Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City Stories, you had little mismatch games. I think Crisis Core was in its first 3 years. Big name titles that were, and then it just died off. And then when it decided to try to make a comeback, you had games like Mag, you had games like Kingdom Hearts, Birth by Sleep, you had God of War, Ghost of Sparta, God of War, Chains of Olympus, I think is the name of the other one, but that one came at the beginning. Ghost of Sparta came later. You had, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walkers. I mean, they did their damnedest to try to relaunch the PSP after they realized the PS3 was not doing the numbers they wanted. And it failed miserably. And alongside that break of 2 years and them just completely, washing their hands with it and saying fuck the market and fuck the people who actually bought into it and fuck our customers, the customers basically looked at Sony and said, yeah, fuck you too, and dropped them like a bad habit, okay? And then Sony was like, well, let's try this again. And then we got into the PS Vita. And me, personally, I said they're going to do the same thing. I said this watching it with a friend of mine. I was like, they're going to do the exact same shit. They're going to launch a product. It's going to be a great product. That I'm never going to deny. It's going to be a great product. And it's going to have a few flaws, but it's going to be a good product. And then they're just going to drop it off the face of the planet. They're going to make as much money off of everybody as they can. And then they're just going to drop it. And lo and behold, that is exactly what they've done. Now they want to claim they're getting out of the market. And it's not any claim that makes any sense. It's not a claim of, oh, we're getting out of the market because, you know, we've tried this twice and it just hasn't worked and it's our fault. No, no, no. They don't want to do that. They want to blame everybody else. Okay, never mind that there's plenty of fans to support the damn thing. Plenty of people have a Vita. I've had 2. I'm on my 3rd one now. Plenty of people like the Vita. Plenty of people support the Vita. Developers, indie developers support the Vita. The problem here is the Vita has way too many fucking flaws that Sony, you dumbasses, incorporated in it and did not fix. You have 2 separate versions of the same one system, but did you remove any of these flaws when you made a second version of the same one system? No, you fucking didn't. You basically sat back and said, hey, what are we going to remove from the Vita to make it better? We'll remove the 3G function, and that's it. That didn't make things better. If anything, that made it worse. The 3G function was fine. The only thing you had to do to improve that was expand it to all carriers. That's it. That is all you had to, that's the magic key to the 3G function. Make it to all carriers. Not just one with AT&T, but everybody. Verizon, Sprint, Metro piece of shit. Even the Walmart carrier. All of them now can be made to be used in the PS Vita. That would have been fine. The one fix that would have helped the Vita and made it boom and made it a huge success story outside of Japan where it is booming fine is that little fucking SD card. That is what has crippled it. Everybody knows this, but you, Sony, you have your head so far shoved up your ass you can't even figure it out. That SD card has crippled the device way beyond repair. You couldn't even fix that. Everyone was like, well, hopefully with the second version, they'll take that fucking card out because it's way too expensive and I'm not paying the same price as for a handheld as I would for a core console because the handheld doesn't do anything. I can buy these same games on my handheld that are available on my core console. The amount of original IP is very slim. Not only is it very slim, but it's not even original content because they end up porting 90% of these titles to the other system. Seriously, what is remaining on the PS Vita that makes it original content that they have yet to port to the PS4 or to the PS3? You have Tales of Heart R. You have Gravity Rush, which unfortunately got ported. You had Tearaway, which got ported to everything. You have... What is left? Everything pretty much got ported, making a reason to own a Vita pretty much null and void. Which is why a lot of people don't have it. Sony took away the demand to own one, and they didn't figure out why. Why don't people want this? It's not that people don't want it. People don't want to pay over $200 for a handheld. The reason people are willing to pay that much for this is because this has way more uses than just being something I carry around with me. I can carry it with me, or I can dock it and it be played on a big screen. It has 2 controllers if I choose that, or I can use this. You know, I mean, there's several different advantages to the Switch that the Vita just does not have. I'm sick and tired of seeing people compare the Vita to the Switch. The Switch is way more different. Okay, the Vita has a camera. How in the hell did the camera in the Vita turn out to be weaker than the camera in the 3DS? Please, Sony, explain that to me. Because I've looked at it, I've looked at everything. The camera is the honest to God only thing weaker in the Vita than the 3DS. I mean, seriously, the Vita overall is the more powerful handheld, but the camera somehow came out weaker. The 3DS's camera is superior. How the fuck did you manage that? And don't tell me it's to cut cost. Fuck out of here with that. You lost that battle when you made everybody pay just to have a decent sized memory card. Fuck out of here. So anyway, Yes, you want out of the handheld market, it's your fault. It is not our fault. That's your fault, Sony. Go fuck yourself. Quit blaming the customers for your fucking problems. Oh, nobody wants one. Nobody wants the handhelds. Really? Explain how it is Sega was able to maintain somewhat of a competitive edge during the whole Game Boy fiasco with their handheld. Please explain that. Please explain why it is you can sell a handheld, but then you decide you want to drop it like a bad habit. It's not the customers. There's plenty of people out there who want to see the Vita continue. There's plenty of people. There are forums on Facebook devoted to the PS Vita. So it's not the customer, Sony. That's you. That is all you. So you want to get out of the handhelds. That's fine. Just don't blame us. Don't blame the customers. We have nothing to do with it. We like the handheld. We just don't like the bullshit drama you bring to the table with it. $100 for 64 gigs of a memory card. You gotta be out of your fucking mind. 3G capabilities, but you have to go to one carrier that you might have nothing to do with your own service provider with the cell phone you have. Again, gimping your own product. You have two versions of the same one and you didn't fix any of these problems. It's not the customer's fault. That's your fault. This is your product, Sony. That's one of the articles. Now, the other article I have from Sony is another one that makes me personally laugh because I'm like, who in the fuck's going to trust this? Sony has a credit card. Oh boy. Are you really going to trust Sony with any money? I know people who personally go buy those preloaded cards, you know, $10, $20, $50 PlayStation PSN cards, and that's the only way they'll buy anything. Who the hell is going to trust Sony with a credit card? You are aware that not only during the PS3 were Sony irresponsible with your credit card, but even in the PS4 generation, they have been called out for being irresponsible with people's credit cards. It's just not on such a grand scale now. It's now on such a smaller scale. Seriously, it's happened. And I understand, okay, yes, it's on a smaller scale, but it's still there, is the point. It's not having to be this massive number like with the PS3, but the fact that it's still there leaves me and should leave you going, I'm not trusting this company at all because their security is a joke. It doesn't deserve to be trusted. You get what I'm saying? Now you want to have a credit card? Now I'm willingly going to let you fuck my money over? Willingly? If you can't even handle a normal credit card, what makes me believe that you can handle your credit card? You see what I'm saying? Fuck out of here. That's just fucking stupid. No, absolutely not. I'm not going to believe that at all. And nor should I. Nor should you. Okay, and like I said, I know the numbers have gotten smaller. And yes, Sony does pay them back. But the problem is that this is still an issue. It's not the fact that, okay, Sony pays them back. It's the fact that it's still an issue. And that they have to wait. And that their PSN accounts are frozen until it's proven. Taking time away from them. Taking their games away from them. That's the problem. And if you can't figure that part out, then I'm sorry. Okay? But again, these are actual problems. These are actual issues. Okay? If you want to trust that, if you want to trust Sony like that, I got nothing against that. That's your call. That's on you. But me personally, knowing that last generation's problems have not gone away, they've only gotten worse. And just because, the numbers have gotten down doesn't mean that they haven't gotten worse. Sony and Microsoft have both having to give away free months, if not, anything else, because of their lack of security. Meaning that, we haven't really gotten any better. Our security hasn't improved anything, and we are now just going to let anything happen that we feel the need to. This means that no, you should not invest like that. Okay, and just because you're like, the numbers aren't as big, that means you're more willing and more gullible to believe it. Okay? And yes, maybe you should go down that road to get burned like that, because that's the only way you're gonna learn. And don't expect me to feel sorry for you, because I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to go, hey Sony, let me get your credit card and try this out so I can lose, hundreds of dollars from you and have my PlayStation account affected because I was dumb enough to believe it, knowing everything I know. See what I'm saying? You could be mad at me over that. I really don't care. But still, why would anybody trust a company with the amount of problems they've had? Yes, I believe you should give them the chance and buy their products, but trusting them with your actual money through a credit card when they've been hacked and continually hacked for the past 5 years, meaning their security when it comes to this information is not at all safe? No. Go out, buy you a physical copy, or go out and buy you a PSN card that you put money on, that is in your pockets, that is not in Sony's hands until you put it on your PlayStation and spend it right then. But unless you're doing that, go buy the physical fucking copy. I do not support them having their own credit card, because I cannot support them with anything else, because just like clockwork, bam, PSN is down. Just like clockwork, bam, Xbox is down. Do I trust them in anything like that? In any kind of way? Absolutely not. That's why when they ask me, would you like to save your info on this? I always click no. It's a one-time deal. And normally, I use a preloaded card, which means all the money I have on there is for whatever the fuck it is I'm buying. And that's what I always suggest to people. Use the amount that you're going to use on a preloaded card, put it on there, click no, you don't want to save it. That way it's wiped as soon as you use it. Because these companies have not gotten any better. They've in fact gotten worse. Even though those numbers have gotten smaller, they're still going down just like clockwork. That's all I got for you guys. Links will be in the description down below, talking about the PlayStation credit card, PlayStation getting out of handhelds. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully it won't be as long, but you never know. Deuces.